Welcome to Bleav in 76ers with your hosts, former 76ers point guard Eric Snow and two Sixers fanatics in Marcus and Teja Dash. Bleav in 76ers is presented by betonline.ag.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. With the largest selection of odds on everything from NBA, college basketball, to the NHL and UFC, BetOnline continues to be your number one sports betting source. From every three-pointer to hat trick, BetOnline has you covered with odds, stats, and more for every game, every play, and every win. BetOnline, the game starts here. Although the NFL season is done, there's still many games to be played between college basketball, NBA, NHL, and WNBA. There's always time to embrace your inner underdog. All you got to do is predict higher or lower on multiple different player statistics. If you've yet to download the Underdog app, do so now and get free cash. Click the link in the description or use promo code ChiefConcerns, one word, to claim your free pick and first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash. So let's continue to keep the good vibes going into the spring season. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Bleav in 76ers podcast. I'm Marcus Dash here, legendary 76ers point guard Eric Snow, and my brother Teja Dash. Guys, really hard to kind of keep up the enthusiasm and excitement as we get into this episode. Just I feel like after watching what we've been watching, it's just kind of tough to continue to keep the enthusiasm and excitement. But nonetheless, Sixers are riding an 8-game losing streak, the longest losing streak we've had since the 2016-2017 process years. So,
you want to compare those two rosters too? By the way, compare those starting lineups of those two teams.
Do you have it on? Do you have it on hand?
No, I mean, I'll pull it up right now.
Although, I mean, yeah, the two teams. I mean, you were defending Nick Nurse earlier when we were talking, but we'll get into that today on this episode. So,
way to call him out.
right away. I had to.
It's okay. I'm ready. I'm ready to fight. I'm ready to fight harder than the Sixers have.
Okay.
Are you looking at the starting five from that year?
I'm trying to find the losing streak. I want to see the team during that losing streak specifically.
Oh, gotcha.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, we want a few. We want a few losing streaks that year. It's kind of hard to find, isn't it? 1, 2. That one's like 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that's a 7-gamer, and this is the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, here it is. I'll go one smack dab, and then we almost beat the Celtics. Great.
What was our final record that year?
It was 28-54.
Wow, we might not even get that.
Yeah. So I had it up. Here it is. Okay. I'll go to the mid for the Raptors because, I'm going to lose to them too. You want to do a player by player or just have me name them all?
Just name the starting five.
Sergio Rodriguez, Gerald Henderson, Robert Covington, Ersan Ilyasova, and Jahlil Okafor.
Wow. Hey, Brett Brown had a team, 28 wins. Can Nick Nurse do that with the roster he has?
Maxey, Quentin Grimes, Kelly Oubre, Paul George, Yabusele. I mean,
and somehow it's not the coach's problem. Okay, we'll get into right away. There's obviously a lot to get into. Obviously, with the Sixers just looking the way they are, and then also the latest on Embiid. We'll get into all that in this episode. So we'll kind of jump into the Sixers. So, like we mentioned, 8 straight games of losing, longest streak since the 2016-27 process Sixers. So last night, fresh after just getting outclassed by the Bulls, and then Saturday losing to the buzzer beater to the Brooklyn Nets. Hurt. Currently the 6th worst team in the league right now, and 2 games out of the 5th worst team in the league right now. So if you are one of those ones who's been on the whole tanking bandwagon, where things are looking pretty good for that right now. So after the loss to Chicago last night, Coach Nick Nurse had some troubling things to say about the team. The team really never got started last night. Maxey said that was kind of just what happened last night was just not good. Paul George said this team is not even championship caliber, let alone play-in caliber team, which a lot of Sixers fans were upset about him saying that, which I think is interesting. But nonetheless, it was a pathetic performance last night, losing to the Bulls the way we did with that, especially without Vucevic. So a lot of fans are saying last night's game was symbolism for the players quitting on Nick Nurse, that Nick Nurse has officially lost the players in the locker room. And a lot of people are calling for Nick Nurse to be fired now, not even wait till the offseason. But where do you guys stand on the whole Nick Nurse debate and how how his kind of role in the Sixers looking the way they have looked the last 8 games and just overall in the season? And how hot do you think Nick Nurse's seat is right now?
Go ahead, Teja. Seem to be your
Yeah, I'll go first.
Your Marcus thing.
I think it's unfair to say it. I think it's easy to pin it on the coach because, no one goes around wearing coach jerseys or shirts with coaches' faces on it. I think it's easy to not pin it on players. I think if you're going to blame Nurse, blame it on Embiid. You could blame it on anyone. So I just think it's a real easy way out to blame the coach. And for anyone who wants to bring up Doc Rivers was here for 4 years with a number 1 team in the playoffs who was favored, who didn't deliver. I'm not saying he should have been fired. I'm just saying it's a completely different situation. We don't have the team that we started the season with. We are completely different than we should have been. Embiid's injuries set us off, and we've never really had a consistent team all year. That's what I was trying to tell you earlier, Marcus. Even that process team, as not as talented as this team is, at least they played together all year. That team was pretty much the team all year. Rain or shine. That's why Memphis, with all their backups for 2 years in a row, they start beating good teams because if you have decent talent on your team and you play together, you have cohesion, you will start beating other teams. It will happen eventually. We don't even have that on our side. We have a different starting lineup every game.
Can I play before you finish? Can I play devil's advocate for you?
Yeah, go ahead.
The 2 teams you just played have the same argument. Go ahead. You can finish now.
Bulls, and who was the one before it?
Nets.
It's more or less the same team. Who they get?
No, they aren't. They're totally different.
Ben Simmons was playing once every 5 games. Who else did they get rid of?
I'm just saying, Russell wasn't playing. They had the guys that played in that game weren't the guys that were playing earlier in the year.
Yeah, Killian Hayes was getting major minutes in that game, and Killian Hayes is the new.
Keon Johnson's been playing major minutes for the past 2 months. Claxton's always their starting center.
Him and Cam. That's it, man.
A lot of the guys in that lineup have played probably 20 plus minutes this year.
They haven't played any more than the guys that have played with us. That's all I'm saying.
Well, Quentin Grimes wasn't with us 2 weeks ago, so
and they have guys that wasn't with them early in the year. That's all I'm saying is I get what you're saying, but I don't think that is the case when you're losing to teams that are basically different. I mean, Chicago Bulls' whole starting 5 was almost out.
I'm not excusing the losses. I think it's embarrassing.
Okay. All right.
And I think he deserves blame. Just like I said, it's across the board.
Yeah.
I mean, off talent alone, even if you didn't have a friggin' coach, we should be not beating them. We shouldn't be losing to the Bulls by 32 points. If you had a player coach out there, if Lowry was our coach, we shouldn't be losing by 32 points to a team. We're that much more talented than everyone we're playing. That's why it goes well beyond coaching at this point. To give up 142 points to a team that's bottom 5 most of the year or half the year, who's trying to pretty much lose based on their roster construction, and their best player didn't even play. That's laughable. To do that, it just, you can't single one thing out. That's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to blame players or coaching or management. It goes all the way around. You can't just blame one thing on this team. It's everything across the board. I'm just saying I think it's easy for people to turn around and blame the coach because you can fire a coach. You can't really fire a player, right? Like you just can't. It's not that simple. So, but for every person you have saying fire Nurse, you have 3 trade Embiids out there, right? I think both of those are ridiculous.
What do you think if you had to pick one thing that was lacking or missing for us to lose by 32 points to the Bulls? What do you think? What would you say that was?
Jeez,
Effort.
Yeah.
What would you say, Teja?
I would go to effort too.
Okay. So when you guys say effort, that's the biggest indictment that you can ever have on a coach. Now, it falls on the players, but that's the biggest indictment on a coach is when the team doesn't play hard. Now, it's up to the guys to go out there and make sure you give the effort every day. Like that's your job. But if a coach can't get them to do that and take guys out that aren't doing it and put guys in that do it, then that's not necessarily it's a culture issue, but it starts with the coach. Because if guys
it doesn't start with your leader.
You would think it does. I think it starts with the coach. Okay. Because is a leader can say, hey, let's play hard. But if a guy isn't playing hard and he isn't taking out the game or anything it happens to him for the lack of effort, it's really not as the leader doesn't really control as much.
Is it even worse that we don't have a leader?
No, I'm just saying in general, like you may have one, but all I'm saying is if collectively, if it's just easier to tap out, like we're tapping out against the Bulls, not Boston, or OKC. We're tapping out against the Bulls.
I know,
like a team that on paper we're better than, and they scored what? How many points in the first 3 quarters?
115
in the first 3 quarters, and then they score how many in the fourth quarter?
27.
So they scored 115 points in 3 quarters, man. Come on, if these guys went to the LA Rec or wherever they play pickup at, or UCLA, wherever they play at, most of these guys, there's no way this team would beat them like that if they play pickup. So how can you go out here now? I'm just saying, like, it is one thing if you don't make shots. And let me look. If you don't make shots, I understand that. Games are like that sometimes when you don't make shots and they're making it. I've been in some games like that where teams were hot. I remember we played Minnesota at home one time in Philly, and it felt like they made every shot.
We actually had a good amount of free throws too.
That's what I'm saying. They feel like they made every shot, and it felt like we missed every shot.
They were 18 of 40 from 3.
They were
18 of 40. We were 10 of 40. They were 45 of 89 overall, so over 50%. We were 37 of 95, 38.9%.
I mean, to me, honestly, it almost feels like offensively making shots fuel your defense and your effort.
Yeah.
And some of that falls on everybody, coaching, players. But at the end of the day, if you're telling me that our effort is the same as the Bulls, we don't lose by we're not down 40 points if our effort's the same.
How about this stat? Josh Giddey out-rebounded our entire starting 5.
I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Like,
that's bad.
But who's going to get the rebounds though? Like we're a decent rebounding team.
But it's not like I'm talking about their 6'10" power forward or like their center. I mean,
yeah,
it's their two. You know what I mean? Like
it really plays like a point guard on there.
Yeah, it's really it's a guard. A guard out rebounded our entire starting lineup.
Yeah, it's disappointing. I mean, I do feel that the way it, with the effort being questioned, that you're gonna look at the coach first.
Yeah, I understand that.
Like put it like this: if based on how Doc Rivers was treated for the record that he had, right? Can you imagine if he was coaching right now?
When his first season or his last season?
His second season, whatever season this is for Nurse. Can you imagine how it would be for him?
Bad. My fans wanted him out when we had the 1 seed or the 1 seed in the East.
Doc had more heat for less than this.
Not when he lost the first year. Everyone blamed Ben that first time, if you remember correctly.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but Doc losing was the team losing in the playoffs in the second round.
The Atlanta series, everyone pretty much blamed Simmons for because of that. We disappeared.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but what I'm saying is that it's about the playoffs. Like that's what we're talking about.
Yes,
we're not talking about effort. We're not talking about getting blown out, but to a 10th and 11th seed or whatever.
The problem with Doc was
like, just think about the stuff we're talking about. Yeah, Joel was playing, but when Joel didn't play, the team didn't look like this.
Yeah.
My thing is like, they like Joel isn't playing, and when he has played, he's looked limited. So that shouldn't be a surprise for guys. Like, okay, he's not here. Let's roll. Like, we still got two guys that are making $40 and $50 million a year. They paid them that way. So, like, those two guys are still playing.
Yep.
So what's the problem? Like, I don't even know. It's not fun to lose. So let's win. Let's try to win some games. But I don't know. Like, to me, even Maxey looked limited or something. Like something.
Let me ask a couple questions. We were talking about leaders and feeding off the coach first, leader second, and people can debate that. For teams that do feed off their leader, and I guess Joel is our de facto leader, even though I don't know if he's
I mean, my point is that this before you ask this question, how do you consider him the leader when you had people, players, and coaches calling him out, but now he's the leader?
That's kind of my point, though, is what I was getting at. Like, people think he's the leader because he's the longest tenured Sixer and he's the best Sixer, right? Doesn't necessarily make you the leader, but if there is a top dog, I guess, on the team, and he's kind of through injuries and whatever else, the season's lost for him. Does that just kind of rub off when your best player is having that kind of experience? And does that just kind of rub off to everyone else? Like, we're done. Like, is everyone kind of it feels like they're just coming out and going like, well, Joel's not playing, so we're probably going to lose this game.
So that's my point. That's the point that I'm trying to say. When that happens, then you have to get the motivation, the energy, the effort, the enthusiasm, the professionalism from somewhere.
Yeah.
And like, we can talk all we want, we can try to defend whatever, but at the end of the day, that comes from the head coach.
Yeah.
First. Then it comes from your veteran and your best players. If you go into the locker room and Paul George and Maxey are telling you, let's do this and that, and let's dive on the floor, and our effort is crazy, and they're doing it, guess what the rest of the locker room is going to do?
Do it as well. They're going to follow it.
And then the coach, if he's saying, hey, you got to give effort and play hard, I'm gonna put you in position to win, and if you don't play hard, I'm gonna take you out and put somebody else in. And that guy comes in and shows that plays the effort. People see it.
But we basically did that in the Nets game when they didn't put Embiid back in.
I'll take the Nets game. I mean, it was you lost on the tip end. I think the conversation would be different if we lost to the Bulls the same way we lost to the Nets.
Yeah, I agree. Be a little different. Still bad.
I mean, it's different because we didn't win.
It's not as bad as being laughed out of your own.
We wouldn't be questioning effort. We wouldn't be questioning the stuff that we're questioning. We're questioning winning and all the other different things. But we're questioning effort for a team that has everyone except one guy.
Now, people say, a lot of people on social media were saying the tank's in, right? Oh, we're clearly tanking. But like, players don't tank. So what does that mean? Does that mean is tanking a nice way of saying players are quitting? Because like management wants to tank. Players don't want to tank. Like Max is thinking about getting the number 5 pick overall.
To answer your question, Chicago and the two teams that we just played are technically, from a social media standpoint, tanking. But they beat us.
Yeah.
So, yeah, a team can, to me, tanking has always been about the moves that you make as an organization.
Correct. Yes.
The moves you make. And because we can all see when teams are with their makeup, with teams playing, whether they're really trying to win a championship. Not just win, but are you trying to win a championship? So if teams aren't trying to win a championship, but still being competitive, to a certain extent, like that kind of still falls into the tanking mode too. If you aren't really trying to win a championship. And let's face it, it's probably about 8 to 10 teams a year that's really trying to do that.
Yeah.
So I don't think right now, I think we're in the same situation as the Bulls and the Nets and the Wizards. We just have I'm in Charlotte. I think the only thing that we have that they don't have is that we still have the expectations that we had at the beginning of the year, and they don't.
I mean, when you're starting Paul George and Tyrese Maxey, then yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So our expectations are there. You can say that Joel was out, but if you told us at the beginning of the year, right, that Joel's unfortunately going to miss this season, and we found out the middle, like the 10th of October, and we had Drummond, and we had Paul George, who we just signed for 4 years, and we had Maxey. Do you think that we would be a team that would make the playoffs? Not even the play-in.
If you told me everything that's happening to us,
yeah,
I would say we're fighting in the play-in zone. If you told me Joel's season's done, Paul George
in the East, in the East.
If you told me George hyperkinesia twice and had a torn tendon, in his
no, that's not what I'm saying. Because Paul didn't get hurt until later on.
No, I thought he got the knee injuries pretty early, didn't he?
No, I'm just saying that we get in October, and the only thing that we told you is Joel was missing the season.
But that's not necessarily what we're dealing with right now, though, right? I mean,
Paul George is half a man. I'm telling you the difference in the expectations. So this is basically the same roster. So if you're saying that we're playing this way because Joel was out and Paul got injured and he's playing injured, like what is it? Like if you're playing, you're playing. If he's injured, he's injured. So every time we lose, it's like, oh, well, I'm injured. And when you win, it's like, well, I tried. Like I don't get that.
Yeah, I'm just saying I wouldn't be that surprised. I think we're about 6 to 8.
Then if we're saying that Joel would miss and then this team can't make the play-in game or struggle to make the play-in game without him, then how is this team ever a championship team? We're kidding ourselves if we think this team's a championship team if that's the case.
Without Joel, we're not.
Okay, so what I'm saying, without Joel, we're not. I'm saying you're saying that we go from 8 to 10, and then with him, we gonna do what? Go all the way to 2 or 3 or 1?
What's with him though? With him's what?
With
like
a healthy Joel. With the healtty Joel. That's when you said
what's
we jumped
that?
that many
What?
teams?
55 games in the season? 60 games?
So let me rephrase it like this. The Detroit Pistons is a 6 seed. A 6 seed.
Yeah.
With no Joel, no big guy dominating the paint. You probably can't even name their starting five. And they're a 6 seed in the East. And you're telling me with the guys that we got, we can't be in the top 10? Orlando's in the top 8, and they had their best 2 players out half of the season too.
Yeah.
Miami's ahead of us. They done had their best player out the whole year. So Atlanta basically tanked. And they still ahead of us.
I know. Chicago too?
So, come on, man. We got to stop with the excuses, man. That's all it is. We got to stop with the excuses.
I'm not excusing their play. I'm just saying if you told me everything we have, I wouldn't be that surprised that I think we're about 5 games behind where we would be.
My last year in Philly was, I believe, the only year I didn't make the playoffs or so. And during that time, and and that's when Randy Ayers was let go, like in the middle of the season, whatever. It was his first year. But we would play games, and we started finishing, that was like the first time in my career in Philly, like we started finishing games and I didn't go back in the game. So I'm sort of like, okay, that's different. And so they would come to me and be like, oh, well, we got to let the young guys get that experience. I'm like, what? Young guys get that experience. So that's when I knew, like, okay, well, we ain't really trying to win. Yeah. Like winning isn't really the priority. It's getting them experience is the priority.
Is that tanking?
I don't know if it's necessarily tanking it or is kind of rebuilding.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like, is you kind of building for the future?
You kind of said it the same, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, tanking is really when you just you ain't really trying to get guys experience. You're just trying to get a better draft pick or draft position. Like, it's really rebuilding because you're playing guys that you want to have better and more experience for next season or season after. Whereas
you're prioritizing development over winning, though, right?
Well, I don't know. The difference was I think they were trying to win with those guys. They weren't not trying to win with those guys.
Okay.
I'm just saying you had a better chance of winning with the experienced guys, but they weren't not trying to win with those younger guys. It was just like usually if you're saying, hey, if the priority was winning this game was the priority, let's put the veteran guys back in to win the game.
Correct.
But if you're saying, hey, the veteran guys have played the 30 minutes we want them to play, let's give these young guys some experience. You can say it's tanking, but it's not really tanking because to me, if it was tanking, those guys would have been playing the majority of the game and starting and playing the whole game.
Okay, that's true. Yeah.
You guys finished 33-49 that year. We'd be lucky to even sniff around the 33 marker.
Yeah, and I mean, like, how many games did AI miss?
He played 47 games that year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He missed a lot of games. He didn't play half the season.
Yeah. Yeah. And that Nets game, by the way, we were at a set midway through the third quarter down 17. We came back in that game. But again, these giant deficits every game against teams that are, as far as talent-wise, a little bit lesser than us. But I agree with your point, though, Eric. The whole reason why we got Paul George to have him with Maxey was because we anticipated Embiid to miss 20 to 30 games, right? As safely say 20 to 30 games. And having Paul George with Maxey, that's supposed to, we can win those games with that Embiid, and then we're not winning those games with that Embiid. So I'm 100% with you.
Do you think we eclipse that mark of that 2016 team? Do you think we win more than 28 games?
How many we have right now?
20.
How many we have left?
25 games, I think. We're 20 and 27, right?
20
and 37.
I'm saying how many games we have left?
25.
So we got to win 9 out of 25 games.
Yes.
Well, it depends if the shutdown begins with Maxey and PG, right?
Does it?
I mean, when they shut down, we'll probably win more games.
Yeah, maybe. We shut down all the
win games. We'll probably win games when people don't think we will. It kind of depends. So now I take my first year in Philly. I came in January, and I Bleav when I got there, the team was the worst record in the league, or one of the worst records in the league when I got there. And then Coach Brown made all these moves, and I think Aaron and Theo came a week before me, and then I came like right after that. And then we started playing. He started playing all these different lineups, and Allen started at the point. When we finished games, I would be at the point, Allen would be at the 2, and Aaron and Theo, and I forgot who else we had. We had Tim Thomas, a lot of young guys. So we started playing well. By the end of the season, we were beating playoff teams. Like we were being competitive. I think we played the Bulls or somebody. We played them like really, really tough. Like we were playing teams and like being really competitive. So it kind of like, okay, this team is playing a little different right now. So it was a carryover into that next year, which was the lockout year. But that next season, we made the playoffs as a 6th seed and upset the number 3 seed Orlando Magic. And I say that because it's like when you make changes like at the end of the season, man, some of these guys are playing for their livelihood and contracts, and this may be the biggest stage and biggest time that they may get to ever be seen, and you can't put no price tag on that, man. You'll win some games, man, when guys out there playing like that. That's what disappoints me about the Bulls game, because you like, what is it that we don't kind of like understand that? Like, how can you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just at home too. It's like against them. So what's going to happen when we play Golden State on Sunday at home? You know, a team that's playing really well. You know what I'm saying? That can get hot on you. So,
yeah, it's a rough week to have these questions with the Knicks tomorrow night and then Golden State on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, Knicks is going to be an uphill battle in there, but we'll play well in New York. New York, something about New York. We'll play well in New York, and then New York, the Knicks, their style, they'll keep you in some games.
Yeah. Yeah, I Bleav they're one of the worst team or second worst team at defending the 3 this year, which is pretty insane for the fact they signed OG and have Bridges over there to be one of the worst teams to stop in the 3. That's kind of insane.
Well, I mean, they probably play a packed in defense, and they do a lot of helping. That's all it is.
Yeah. But the fact that we have these effort conversations, and I feel like since the season started, we've had this whole effort conversation. Most notably, about a month ago when we played Denver, and remember that was the whole thing. Everyone was talking about the effort, the lack of effort in that game. We got dominated. Where Strother had like 10 threes, and that was about a month ago. And a month later, we're still having the same conversation. And yeah, that's why I say Teja goes back to the coach and players kind of maybe quitting on the coach as well.
Yeah, but I mean, they would quit on anybody right now. Phil Jackson, they'd be quitting on him right now too, right?
We don't know that.
You don't know that.
All we know is what we have right now. All I'm saying is, do I think they quit on him? If you say some people quit on the coach, I mean, the players got to own some of that too.
Yeah, of course.
What's your reason? What's your reason for doing that? If that's the case, especially collectively. But I think if like going and guys playing hard, a coach can't really coach effort. Like he can't coach it. Like he can demand it, but he can't really coach and teach effort. That has to come from the player. So that part right there, I get. But what you can do is
motivate.
Well, you can penalize non-effort. and taking people out the game, or you know what I'm saying, they're not playing them. So it may come down to playing the guys that play hard. But I mean, the guys got to own them. There's no way that team should be scoring 142 points, man.
Who's the bigger
142 points, and their starters basically didn't even play in the fourth quarter.
Who's the bigger disappointment in your eyes, Eric? Sixers or Phoenix?
Well, I mean, I'm a Sixer fan, so I would say Phoenix because I don't think that they've had the level of
misfortune,
injuries that we have. I mean, they have their best player still playing.
And well,
our best player has missed, and when he has played, he's been limited.
Yeah. And Durant's looked good this year, like really good.
Yeah. But I think that they have what they have is what I do think Phoenix has is they have way more internal issues than we have.
Yeah.
Beal is now the non-starter. Before they traded the center and he wasn't even playing.
Yep.
Starting center.
Nurkic.
Booker had missed some time, but I'm just saying it's just like I think they just have more internal issues. I'm not sure that people are happy there. New coach, new systems, last year or so. So I just think they have a lot of issues. Whereas with us, I don't know if we have a lot of issues other than like right now, the issue could be effort in playing.
Currently,
but more than anything, it's about your best player being out and the guy that you gave a deal to, missing time and coming out and saying, we don't play hard. But he's also said that he's taking all these shots or whatever just to play. So I don't know what to. I don't.
Yeah,
I think their Phoenix is probably bigger disappointment because I believe that they've been healthier, and they seem to, like I said, they seem to have a bigger cloud of other issues, whereas we are sort of more injury based. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to our issue has been a little more, seems like something different each year, where Phoenix just went to the finals like 3 years ago. You know what I'm saying? So they still were able to, even with all of their misfortune and issues that are going on there, they were still able to accomplish something within 3 to 4 years that we haven't accomplished.
Yeah.
In a conference that's supposed to be tougher.
I think our expectations were higher entering the season, but I think we have more excuses than they do. That's where I stand on the comparison.
Yeah. And just one more thing on the Nick Nurse stuff. Just going back to November when that whole thing came out where Maxey, called Embiid out for not coming to practice or being there on time. There was a quote that came out around that time that Embiid and Maxey had shared a conversation where they didn't really understand what Nick Nurse was trying to do with their offense. There was lack of clarity on what they were trying to do. And that's also, that's not coming from players per se. That's a head coaching thing.
Hey, man. Hey, listen, man. I don't know, man. All I know is when he came here, you two were sitting up here talking about he was creative and he could do all these different things.
That came from your boy. That came from your boy Tobias, though.
Like, I'm just saying, y'all said all this stuff and all of this and what he could do.
Well, we were quoting players saying that.
If we had him in these previous years, where's all that at, man?
Yeah, he's a championship coach.
I was a doc guy. Saying,
where's all that at? Man, y'all don't look. Let's not forget.
I'll say this about the Maxey Embiid quote conversation. Maxey also says Embiid doesn't come to practice, first of all. Second of all, it seems like Maxey knows damn well what's going on offense. Dude's shooting 35 times a game. So if he doesn't know what's going on, then stop shooting the ball so much then. Because obviously we can't get to an offensive game plan because you're chucking them up half the time. So that's my opinion on what those two guys talking about. Maxey doesn't know what's going on. Seems like he does know what's going on. The game plan's for Maxey to shoot.
Hey, don't get mad at Marcus, man. He just quoted what was said, man.
No. I'm getting mad at what they said.
Yeah, I mean,
Teja must have a Nick Nurse shirt or a Nick Nurse
And maybe
jersey,
if
I
Embiid
think.
came on time to practice, he would know what the goddamn offensive game plan is, right?
Yeah, I don't know. He said he came to practice, but I don't know. I don't know
Well,
what it is.
Maxie, the guy he's talking to, is the guy who said he didn't. So,
yeah. All I know is they said he didn't come to practice, and he needed to get better than that. And now that he's not playing, we can't win the game.
Yep. That about sums it up.
Even without practice.
Final word on this. Do you think there's a higher chance if Nurse there's a higher chance that Nurse goes before Morey, or would that be more of a package deal kind of thing if that were to happen? Obviously, we have 25
I don't think either one of them going anywhere.
Okay.
I don't think they are, but if you wanted me to bet on one going before the other one, Nurse would go before Morey.
Right.
Nurse would go before Morey.
We'll see, but with more efforts like last night, there's a chance that Nurse can be done in season if you have more efforts like that.
I mean, he definitely could. Yeah, I mean, someone wants.
I mean, that could be the plan, though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna get to Joel Embiid. I feel like every time we have a new episode, there's a new update on Joel Embiid. So there's a report from Shams that came out yesterday. 76ers and Joel Embiid are consulting doctors and considering alternative options on his injured knee. Sources tell ESPN sides have hope for progress in Embiid's body, but his efforts to play and current treatments, including injections, have not provided any improvement. Another report, according to Philly Inquirer's Marcus Hayes, the famous Marcus Hayes, who Embiid got into a little altercation with him in the beginning of the year, says Embiid may have to look to some experimental procedures to try and correct what's going on. Quote, meniscus replacement, a low-dose radiation therapy, or even the ominous-sounding osteotomy, in which doctors break a bone in the hip to realign the joint to alleviate pressure. One source called the procedures radical in light of the mundane injury and surgery that brought Embiid to this point. For some reason, what should have been a routine rehab and a routine return to play has gone horribly wrong, end quote. Nick Nurse said before the game yesterday that Embiid is going through imaging and still being evaluated, but they have not even discussed shutting him down at all yet. So obviously, recent developments. What do you guys think about what is going on with the whole Joel Embiid updates as of right now?
Man.
Well, I'll take it back from beginning of the season when we first started going through this, and training camp, and then the first week when he was going to be reevaluated, then they pushed that back, and then when he came back, he didn't look the same. Okay, so we know that this is an issue that's been going on since before the season started, right? The question we don't know is, was this something that happened during the postseason, getting ready for the Olympics, during the Olympics, or after the Olympics? Is this something additional happened? Or is this still the same remnants from the procedure that we had a year ago? So, that being said, I feel bad for Joel, but I told you guys what it sounded like, what it looked like a long time ago when I was like his swelling, and it keeps coming back, and like all of the signs that he had, I'm talking like, I have that. I know what that looks like. But I think the team, or maybe Joel and his camp, whoever, did a disservice by not just coming out and, hey, this is what it is, man. This is what it is. And I understand maybe you don't want to do that at the beginning of the year, but by December, you got to know this isn't right. So he's basically gone, November, December, January, almost 4 months of prolonging this. Just prolonging it to be in the same spot.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know what he needs or what he should do because we don't have all the information, and that's been the issue from the beginning. We don't really know what the deal is. We don't really know what the injury is. I know it was a meniscus before, but we don't really know. But I can tell you what it sounds like to me is that his meniscus is gone or shaved down where he's bone on bone. That's what I've told you guys. It sounds like what I have. And I just think, and that's the one thing about your meniscus being shaved down and being bone on bone. Everybody's body doesn't respond the same when that happens. The way my legs are, like I told you, I've said it like many times, the way my legs are bowed, the interior injury of my knee, it was a bad injury for me. It could be a bad injury for Joel. I'm not sure that, and I'm not sure how they're going to fix it. Because you could do some things that'll fix it for right now. It'll be worse later in life. You can fix it right now and be harder to play basketball, but it's better for the rest of your life. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know enough about the modern technology that people would use. I've done some research and read more about some stuff that people would do. But after having 3 surgeries, I'm a firm believer that no matter what he gets done, I don't see how any surgery can ever make it better, but I don't know how it can ever make you where you were before. In my experience, it hasn't happened. So I know some people have had surgeries and bounced back, but it kind of depends. Sometimes when people break a bone, like Paul had a really, really bad injury with that Olympic team.
Yeah. Came
back strong. Bones. Yep. Bones heal differently than ligaments and tendons. So and I just think Joel's older. He's not a small guy. And I don't have confidence. I'll say this. I don't have confidence that something can be done to make it better for him going forward. I think he'll be dealing with something moving forward. Hopefully he can get it done and to get taken care of. But I don't have the confidence that can happen because nothing in my experience says that.
Yeah, it just sounds like patchwork after patchwork, and he never really got, because of the Olympics, he never really got, I think, the time he needed to just do a full rest.
Yeah, I don't even think it's about a rest thing. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think it was really about a rest because he had
the doctors sounding like they think it was because they.
But what I'm saying is, so it wouldn't be the Olympics then. It would be him coming back in the playoffs. His procedure was in February.
Yeah, and he looked pretty decent in the playoffs.
So what I'm saying is that would be more of the issue than the Olympics.
Yeah. Which, like we said earlier in the season,
that's what I'm saying. But we saying he looked good, but there was still people that saying that he shouldn't have played.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was a really big issue.
Totally, but I've seen him since, and he looked better than he looks now. So it's like crazy, right?
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing about it. It was like when you first get it done, and then all of a sudden that tendon is kind of shaved down and worn down. It doesn't get better with time. Sometimes it gets worse with time.
Yeah. So I mean, some of these sound radical, and I don't know enough about that, but whatever the next move is, I mean, it's pivotal because you're dealing with aging stars. And if they try to go conservative from here on out and say, let's give them a proper rest till next season, if that doesn't work, then you start from scratch all over again. Then you have to do that crazy surgery, and then you sit him for a whole year. So I don't know what the answer is. They're going to have to talk to more doctors now, see what's going to happen. Because if you do one of those now, he'll be back by sometime next season.
Yeah.
If you try to wait on it thinking that maybe a full-time rest can do him some good for a long extended period of time, but then you put off the real timetable in case it doesn't work.
Well, the sounds of the meniscus replacement, which is what Lonzo Ball had, that was an 18th month recovery. We wouldn't see him next
He came back in a year, right?
18 months, I Bleav.
He came back in 18 months?
It was 18 months. Because remember, they said he wasn't going to come back ever again. And then remember, Stephen A. Smith said he heard that he was retiring. And then Lonzo was like, what are you talking about? And then he came back like 5 months after that. So that, I mean, we're looking at potential of a year, potential of 18 months. I mean, these are all different types of surgeries and experimental, right? Eric, we were talking beforehand before we came on. Had you ever heard of any of these before? The hip one, the osteo something, meniscus replacement, nothing. Yeah.
No. All they talk to me about, everybody talk to me now about a knee replacement. They don't even give me these other options. I had one doctor that did Darius surgery from Colorado. He's actually did Tom Brady surgeries too. He was the only one that was like, there's some different things that we can do if you want to do it. I'm just not. I don't want to go through that right now. But yeah, he gave me some alternatives to do, so I could find out sort of what that is. And he did a great job with Darius' injury. And Darius had a lot of, like 3 different ligaments that were torn and a meniscus, or 2 different. Let me see. Yeah, 2 different. 3. He tore all the MCL, PCL, LCL, and the meniscus. He tore everything except for the ACL.
Damn.
And they told him first 3 doctors told him his career was probably over. He went out to him and he told him, he was like, hey, it's, I can get you back on the field. Like, it's going to be a process. So it took, that was the first game of the year. So he missed the rest of that year. And then the next year, he probably played 4 games, but he was never really the same. So last year. So he basically missed 18 months. Well, when people seem like that's a lot, but when you think about what you had done, it's really not a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When you think months, you think it's really like a year and a half. Like it's So
yeah. Ball had a meniscus transplant, cartilage transplant, and a bone allograft, which replaced bone from a bone donor from another person.
Who had that?
Ball. Lonzo.
He had what was it called again?
He had a meniscus transplant, cartilage transplant, and a bone allograft, which is replacement bone from another person.
I know from my ankle, they took bone from my knee and put it in my ankle. Now, I didn't know it. I mean, they decided that during surgery. So they just I woke up and I had like a scarring on my, right bottom of my knee. And they was like, I'm like, what is that? They was like, well, we cut you open and took part of your bone, shaved off part of your bone and put it in your ankle.
Wow. Jeez.
Thing is, though, Ball's pretty young. Ball's like 5 years younger than Joel.
Yeah.
That's the problem. So if Joel sacrifices 18 months right now.
But he's also smaller.
Yes. It's also true. Yeah.
I mean, but also, look, that's where expectations come in, too. He's not expected to be an MVP candidate.
He also hasn't played over 30 minutes in a game this season.
He probably is not going to. Like, that's probably strategic. So I'm just saying, but what I'm saying is the expectations are different, so you can take it slower.
Yeah.
But, we take it slower with Joel. They're like, well, what are we doing? We were supposed to win the championship. We can't win a championship like this.
Yep.
Yeah. I will say pretty sickening from some of these fan bases out there. I saw the Knicks fans like kind of dancing on Joel Embiid's grave. A lot of fan bases really laughing at this, and it's like, it's competition's competition, but rooting for someone, for this career to be over is really sad and pretty sickening. That's Twitter for
I
you.
don't really pay attention to that. Like, you can find negativity all over the place.
Yeah, I've had that argument with other fans. Yeah. Friends of mine who are fans of the Knicks. Yeah. We went back and forth, saying how dirty he is. I was like, dude, no one's broken their face more than Joel. Okay, so I don't want to hear about injuries he causes to other people. Okay.
Yeah. So Nick Nurse did say that he's not shut down at all. When do you guys think that announcement will be made? And do you think we'll see him again on the court this year? I love we're talking about it.
I think he'll come back and try to play.
You think so?
I think he will. I think he'll try to come back and play, especially if we keep losing. I think he'll try to come back and at least.
Regardless if we have a shot at 10 seed anymore.
Mm-hmm. I think he tries to come back because I think he tries to come back before he decides to do something or whatever he's going to do.
Okay.
I'll be very surprised. Like because if you're not going to play anymore, what are we waiting for? Just go get it done.
Yeah, I know. That's kind of what. Yeah, exactly. But get what done? They don't even know what they're getting.
The longer he waits, the more the chance that he'll probably try to play a game or two. But I could be very wrong because, like you said, if we lose 2 or 3 more, and which seems likely this week, with the teams we play, you might as well shut them down.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, whatever happens from here on out, hopefully he gets what needs to be done, and we get to see Joel back on the court again and looking like his old self. All right, so obviously with the way the season's going, we won't have a show Friday. We'll kind of play it by ear as when we're going to do our shows for the next few weeks. So we're going to do our game picks for the entirety of the week. So we have tomorrow night and we have the Warriors on Saturday night. We'll begin. By the way, both nationally televised games, so this is going to be fantastic to see us get blown out by 50 points on national television. But we'll begin Wednesday night on ESPN. Sixers will travel to New York to play the Knicks. Who do you guys have in this game tomorrow night?
I don't have us. I think we give a better overall effort.
Do we lose by double digits?
See, we can lose by double digits by them kind of pulling away late in the game.
Yeah.
But I don't think like halftime or so, I don't think we're down double figures.
Okay. So our game picks have gone from like picking wins and losses to are we going to be competitive or not is basically what we're saying.
I mean the Knicks kind of, they struggled against, Boston or whatever, the good game in there when they play those big games. They got to win. I mean, they're gonna have to win now. I mean, and we go up to New York. It's already tough for us to go up there and win, but I just think that we can cause some issues for them. I mean, like the way they play, they don't really give us as many issues as far as having a true. Like Towns is playing great, but Towns isn't really trying to kill you from the post. So they kind of match up a little better with us. And Tibbs don't really play a lot of people, so that's why I think we can keep it close. The Knicks will beat you, but they don't really run away from you a lot.
Yeah, the one thing we'll be testing this game's effort. So based on showing effort last night, that'll be tested in Wednesday against New York. You got a lot of scrappy dudes on there who are, showing a lot of effort.
They'll compete, play hard. So you got to match that.
Yep.
And Towns is probably out, I'm assuming. Yeah, I mean, I give me at least 3 quarters of competitive ball. Just don't get blown out of the game, make it unwatchable,
Yeah, I say we play it close and we don't get blown out. We lose, but not by double figures.
Okay. I think it's one of those we were competitive for a bit and they just kind of opened it up toward the end.
Yeah. An admirable loss if those exist. I don't know. I don't think those exist. Saturday night, another nationally televised game on ABC. Jimmy Butler, Steph Curry, Draymond Green coming to town, coming to Philadelphia for this Saturday night showdown against the Warriors. Competitive, or how do you see this game going?
Competitive. I think Golden State wins it, but I think it comes down to how well Golden State shoot the ball. If they shoot it really well, it could be a long night for us. If we're able to play defense, press some shots, and they have a somewhat of an off night, we could pull an upset. We can definitely be very competitive. But I say that right now that team is playing well, and they know they have to win some games to, stay in the play-in or get out of the play-in. So their focus is different right now.
Yeah, they win. I think we actually keep that one close. I think we can match up pretty decent against them if we show up and try. I think we lose in single digits though.
Yeah, curious to see the bounce back after playing at home like the way we did last night. Also, Sue, I saw someone posted online that apparently there was rats running in the stadium last night. So people were also like making a joke about how bad we played at home, and then also you have rats running in the stadium and stuff. Which I'm sure a lot of teams have that, but a lot of people were showing that online last night, which is just kind of symbolic.
Like, was it rats for real?
A rat, yeah.
People have video of it?
Yeah, I believe someone tagged our account on Twitter and showed a picture of it.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So symbolism for how the season's going, having rats in the stadium. Yeah. Not good. Not good. But all right, guys. Well, that does it for us on this episode of Bleav in 76ers podcast. We'll see you next time. We'll be posting our updates on when we'll be getting together again. Obviously, we're going to play it by ear to see what the updates on Embiid situation is, overall updates, and we'll come back at some point here. But tough season, but we'll get it, guys.
Power through it.
Take it easy.
All right, see you guys.